So this is the 4.0 Impact Series. Today I'm delighted to be here with Franz Hochstrasser from a company called Raise Green, a climate investment platform based out in the States. Look, without any further ado, I'll leave you to make the necessary introductions, Franz, and give us some initial insight into yourself and Raise Green.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for having me, Leighton. It's a pleasure, and always happy to collaborate across the pond. Mm-hmm. So, as you mentioned, Raise Green is the climate investment platform. We are an SEC and FINRA registered marketplace for local impact investing in the United States. We work with community leaders and heroic climate entrepreneurs that are raising capital for their project companies or for their actual ventures, climate tech ventures. And we give them the tools to set their own financing and engage their community of consumers to become investors. At the same time, we democratize the investment side of participation in community rounds or community financing by making it accessible for anyone who makes any amount of money to put in as little as $100 into those climate projects, back those heroic entrepreneurs, and folks can invest whether they are non-accredited, like 90% of Americans, or accredited or high net worth or institutions, all on the same terms. And we exist really to drive opportunity for a more healthy, just, and sustainable future.
Okay. So essentially, what you're doing and what Raise Green are doing is it's bringing sustainable investing to the masses. So I think you said the majority of your users are retail investors, non-sophisticated retail investors.
Yeah, the vast majority. In fact, around 80% of the investors that have used our marketplace, of the thousands of investors who have, are folks who make less than $200,000 a year or have less than $1 million in net worth, which in the U.S. is defined as non-accredited. And those folks previously, before 2016 in the United States, with the passage of the Jobs Act, were barred from investing largely into private companies. Right. Thanks to that change that President Obama signed into law back in 2012, and thanks also to the innovations in the climate fintech space that we are a part of driving, now those folks can invest their money directly into local climate solutions.
Okay. And it's grassroots initiatives and schemes, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we've worked with some really amazing what are called issuers, or those selling securities to raise capital, because when you sell or when you raise money in the private market, you're selling securities, whether you're doing it through a simple agreement for future equity, a convertible note, or you're doing it through a straight debt offering or preferred equity or an equity offering. Those are all different types of securities. And so we, as Raise Green, facilitate the sale of those securities through a due diligence process, and then also through an actual transaction process on our marketplace at raisegreen.com.
Understood. So let's circle back. So so Franz, you're not a financier. You don't come from a finance background. Maybe you could just give us some insight into the genesis of the business. Where your background and I suppose kind of credentials, for want of a better term, and then where how Raise Green formed, if you would.
Absolutely. Well, here I have to give credit to all the way back, to my roots, starting on the Obama campaign back in 2008, working to get Barack Obama elected as an organizer in Iowa. That was kind of where I got my start, working on social issues and community organizing. I rode that wave to the Obama administration, where I worked on the Recovery Act, which was the largest climate investment at that time in US history, $90 billion going to energy and energy efficiency. At the Department of Agriculture, helped get that money out the door. And then after the 2012 re-election, I got the distinct honor of getting to go and work at the US, at the White House, with President Obama on the White House climate team, to work on the climate action plan and the president's state, local, and tribal leaders task force on climate preparedness and resilience. That's a mouthful, I know, but it was—
That's a good CV though.
Exactly. My final stint in government was actually at the US State Department, where I got to help negotiate the Paris Agreement on climate change, and really came out of all of that experience with two main learnings. One was that to tackle the climate crisis, we need so much more capital flowing into climate solutions like solar and wind, and battery storage, to the tune of $1 trillion, or now closer to $3 to $5 trillion per year. And we're only seeing about 800 billion flowing per year. And that is still, even going into COP27, the debate is who's going to pay for what and how are we going to afford it all?
Yeah.
Well, there are profitable ways to deploy climate technologies now, for those that are commercialized and proven. And but the other piece that is vital is getting more people engaged in the solution sets at the local level, at every level. Frankly, we need a whole of society mobilization across all developed and developing countries to truly tackle this problem and implement solutions for both mitigating carbon pollution and making our communities more resilient to the impacts that we're already seeing all across the world. So those core motivations really became my duty coming out of the Obama administration, and have formed the foundation of Raise Green, which I met a brilliant scientist at Yale. We started the company together. We recruited our chief investment officer, who has 20 plus years of capital markets experience at Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, Jackie Logan, and we were off and running. So we worked really hard to build this business from scratch. Ever since.
And where are you at now? Where is the business at right now?
Well, so we're in our second full year of operations. So we officially launched our first listing on the marketplace in July of 2020. Of course, there were preparatory years of work in advance of that, but since then we've now financed more than $5 million through the marketplace. We have a few thousand investors who are active on the site, and we've done 18 different securities offerings, everything from the first green bond certified Reg CF offering in the US, to working with Block Power, which is a very popular climate tech company here in the US.
Yeah, we know Block Power. Yeah,
and many more.
Okay, and look, I mean, that's it's impressive impact in a fairly short space of time. And I suppose what does the future look like? What now? Where are you going with it?
Yeah, well, the future is bright for climate tech, because it has to be. The scale and pace of the climate crisis is difficult for anyone to comprehend, let alone act on. And we're seeing increasingly, right now, people want something meaningful that they can do about this crisis. They want to be able to lean in and take action. And Raise Green really is the place for them to go to put as little as $100 to work into real world climate solutions. So we're seeing, that trend is accelerating as the impacts of climate change present themselves more acutely across all sectors. In the US, we just had an awful hurricane hit Puerto Rico and Florida. Many are without power and and many have paid the ultimate price, and that's just one example of the many impacts. So as folks feel those impacts and they want something to do to make their communities more resilient to future impacts, they increasingly, we feel will come to work toward financing local solutions to that problem.
Yeah. Look, again, inspirational, and I genuinely do feel as though people are very much motivated to contribute, but to contribute contribute to projects and initiatives in their local community. The things that they can physically see and touch, as opposed to sometimes just investing into faceless corporations and whatnot. So I can very much see the demand, and very much, I suppose that your mission resonates with something that's important to me. So I suppose in closing, what the next 12 months, what does that look like for Raise Green?
Well, yeah, and Leighton, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, what you're doing to put tech talent to work to solve climate challenges is also such a critical piece of the solution set. So thanks for and raising awareness around it as well.
No,
as we look forward to the next 12 months, we have an ambition of mobilizing more than $1 billion by the end of 2025 into private climate solutions.
Right.
And, we'll chip away at that goal as we build a more efficient and effective tech platform that has more features for people to track their investments, understand the impacts of those investments, as well as new opportunities and what their earnings can be. Investing early in climate tech is like investing in the internet, back in the 80s and 90s, because this is going to be the industry that makes or breaks our generation as we move toward critical milestones of 2030 and ultimately getting to a net zero economy by 2050. So we're excited about the opportunity that provides and the ability to head off the peril that it portends.
Yeah, good. Look, I as we said at the beginning of this call, I kind of feel as though it's fair to say that the North America has been lagging behind Europe a little bit in some of this, but it's you guys are certainly playing catch up now. There's some there's a lot of investment, inward investment, a government level, federal level coming in. Obviously, there's some absolutely huge green VC funds as well that are all piling into the space. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. And I think it's fair to say that Raise Green are kind of pioneering it from an investment perspective. So look, Franz, thank you so much for jumping on this. It's a really interesting story, really great business, and very much appreciate you taking the time to share this with the wider community.
Absolutely. Well, as we discussed, Leighton, the Inflation Reduction Act has passed in the United States, which gives a $370 billion injection of capital from the U.S. government into climate tech here in the US. So we're thrilled about that prospect as well, and excited to deploy projects and provide access to capital for those that need it to get these technologies into the hands and onto the roofs and into the neighborhoods that need it the most, especially. So excited about the chance as well to share that with you and your listeners. And thank you very much for all that you're doing to mobilize support and action across the board.
Lovely, yeah. Likewise. So I think in closing, it's watch this space. Brilliant. Thanks very much. Cheers, Franz.
Thank you, Leighton.